What up, guys? Welcome back to the Ben Oberg Show. Today, I've got a very special guest with me, Thach, Nguyen, real estate guru. He's got an awesome story. Just before we began today's show, Thach was sharing with me his story up and coming, being an immigrant from Vietnam during a very economically and very uncertain time. He's got a very good story to share with you guys. Thach, thank you so much for being on the show.
I'm glad to hear, baby. I'm glad I'm here. I'm here always to inspire people.
Appreciate it, man. So, hey, let's just jump straight into your story because you were telling me some bits and pieces of it before we got on here today. And I think people are going to be blown away because the things that you went through, the struggles you faced, and what you just chose to do with it and create out of it is extraordinary. Most people never do that with their lives. So jump right in. Tell us that whole story.
Yeah, I was born in Vietnam in 1970. In 1975, when I was about 5, 6 years old, my dad worked for the U.S. military, and the U.S. decided they're going to pull out of Vietnam because the communists are taking over South Vietnam. And they told my dad, you should go home and get your family out and leave with us. Otherwise, you're a Vietnamese person working for the U.S. government, you're going to be in prison for life, or you're probably going to get killed. She used to leave with us. And so my dad called home, told my mom, hey, we're going to leave to the United States. We packed one suitcase for all of us. We had $100 for 8 of us. My mom was 29, pregnant with my sister. My dad was 34. I was about 5, 6 years old. And my dad came home, picked us up. We went by trying to pick up a bunch of my aunts and grandmas and everybody. Nobody was home. And on our way to the airport, we blew 2 tires on the Jeep. And so by the time we got to the airport, we missed the last plane.
Wow.
And then my dad got a hold of his boss. The boss says, meet me at this gas station the next morning. We're going to leave at the last plane. We found a hotel in Saigon. We spunked there. The next morning, we got to the gas station. We got into this U-Haul truck, and basically, we got to the airport, and when we opened the door, it was chaos everywhere in the airport. And we got on the last plane, flew out with the U.S. troops, and we landed in San Diego, and we stayed in the homeless shelter there. They used Camp Pennington as the shelter there.
Yep.
For a few months, and then we got shipped up to Washington State, and we stayed at Camp Murray. They used that as a homeless shelter for the refugee. Stayed there for about a month or so. We met a guy named Charles Zettler, who was a volunteer at the shelter. And he sponsored our family 8 to go live with him and his mom in the area called Sumner, Washington, which is about 45 minutes south of Seattle. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And lived there for about 2 years. And then we finally found our own rental house up in Seattle, 2 bed, 1 bath for 8 of us. And that was our palace, man, when we started. And it was, technically it was a palace, compared to living in a homeless shelter. And that was our beginning. This started right there, 1977 in Seattle.
Wow. Okay, so 1977, you're what, 7 years old?
7 years old.
7 years old. Okay, so now you're in the United States. You're in Washington State now, right where I grew up as well. And what happens now? How did you get a foothold? When did your career begin? What did you start doing to, provide for yourself? What are the struggles you had to go through?
Yep. So, obviously we was poor. We was on food stamps. We used to collect, go to the food bank, collect a big block of cheese and the cereal box, big giant cereal box. And I grew up, always, I don't know where I picked up just being ambitious, Mm-hmm. And I had 2 paper routes at one time. I used to go strawberry picking in the summertime, to go collect some money. And I was the only one who did it. All my brothers and sisters, they didn't want to do it. And I graduated in 1988. Wasn't super clear on what I wanted to do after I graduated, but my 2 older brothers, they went and fixed airplane, and they flew airplane. And I just thought, since I was the 4th kid, I was inspired. I followed my brother to go fix airplane. In 91, I got my degree to fix airplane, but they said, hey, you want a job fix airplane, you got to go to Denver. And I was like, I'm not inspired. So I stayed back. 91, I was working at Safeway as a dairy manager, parking cars at a Chinese restaurant, and working at a body shop. And in 91, I was at the Chinese restaurant. My friend Linda says, hey, you should go do real estate with me. I'm taking my real estate license. I think you got a good mouthpiece. And I was inspired. I was like, well, okay, how much money we make? She's like 7% every commission check. And I was like, okay, great. But of course, we don't get 7%. And I got my license in 91. I was 21 years old, the youngest ever in real estate in Washington. And I went from an office called Windermere. And the first 3 years, I sat around just waiting for someone to call me because I didn't know what to do. No one taught me. I just got my license. So what? Just because you got your license, so what? And in 1994, I heard about a guy named Mike Ferry. He did a seminar in Seattle. He's out at Newport Beach. And I went and saw him. And the guy said, hey, for $300, we do coaching. Every other week, half an hour, we'll teach you how to go out there and find business versus waiting for the business to come to you. And I was like, whoa. And I signed up. You know what I mean? I worked at a Safeway and I signed up for $300. And the guy had me memorize some script. He said, I want you to go door knock. And I want you to use these scripts on people. Go get listings. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And I made a commitment. I was going to door knock 5 hours a day. Because I met this guy in California. He was doing door knocking 5 hours a day. He was door knocking 100 doors a day. So I decided I'm going to copy the Hispanic guy named Freud. So I said, I'm going to door knock 100 doors a day, Monday through Friday. And it took me 5 hours to do it. And I decided, right? My wife dropped me off on the street. She took the car. I couldn't go back until I get done. And I door knock every day from 1994, bro. For 10 years straight, 100 doors a day, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. For 10 years straight. And from 1994 to 1997, 3 years later, I was making $1 million a year selling real estate, knocking on doors.
Wow. Wow. Talk about consistency and the things that most people are not willing to do to succeed. When you told me a little bit about this earlier before we hopped on, that one thing right there eliminates 97% of the competition because most people are not willing to be the first there, the last to leave, get used to rejection, have the door slammed in their face, only to do it 99 more times that day. Right. Most people just are not willing to do that. So you do that for 10 years straight. After 3 years, you're hitting that $1 million per year mark. Then what happened?
I met a mentor, another mentor. His name is Saul. And he said, look, you can sell real estate and make $1 million a year, but the best that can happen is you can only be rich. Rich is when you trade your time for money. Well, the problem is when you have kids later on and you want to go on vacation longer, right? You can't do that because you're stuck to your job because you trade your time for money. What you want to learn how to do is take the money you make, invest it in type of property like real estate and create cash flow. Yep. So when you have enough cash flow that pay you more per month than the money coming in as your bill, then we call that being wealthy. You're out of the rat race. He called that wealthy, which means you're trading your money for time. So now if you got kids, you can be at their baseball game, you can be at their matches, you can be at their practice. If you want to go on vacation longer than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can because you don't really need to. And that's when I began taking the money I make and started buying real estate. My first rental property was in 1997, and I still own it today.
Wow. Wow. That's absolutely amazing. So cash flow is important. It's not cash, but cash flow, being able to take the earned income that you have, shove it away in something that's going to residually pay you back. So eventually it replaces your earned income and you've got so much cash flow that it pays for that lifestyle that you want.
That's right. And if you want to keep doing earned income, that's just a bonus. You're doing it because it's fun and it's a hobby. That's like I'm doing today.
Absolutely. I love it. So next, let's talk a little bit about what are some of the habits that people need to be able to have success, regardless of what industry they're in. And in my opinion, a lot of it's really the same. What are, in your opinion, the top habits that people need to form if they want to excel in their career, excel in their job, get out of the middle class?
Yes. I think the number one thing, people never sit down and really sit down, figure out what do they really want to do, okay? And when you really think about it, you can't get stuck in the what if. How am I going to accomplish it? How am I going to raise the money? Or how is that going to happen? The problem when people get stuck in when and how, they never declare what they really want to do. That's why I have a Vietnamese proverb to say, forget the how, AKA fuck how, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing, you got to figure out what you really want to do. Once you figure out what you want to do, you don't even have to motivate yourself anymore. You inspired to go do it. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's one. Once you do that and you clear, Then you got to have consistency. Then you got to be persistent at it every single day. Those are the 3 top things you got to do. That's the basic.
So clarity, persistency, consistency.
Yep. That's what I did.
I love it. I love it. So before we go to break, next thing I want to ask you is, what are your plans for this year? What's Thach's plans for 2020? What are the things, the goals you want to hit this year?
For me, I'm at a point in my life. I just turned 50 on May 18, just recently, right?
Happy birthday. Mine was 8 days before you, but I'm not 50 yet.
Now, come on. No wonder why you're a Tory. You're so driven, baby.
Exactly.
For me now, it's I got the next 10 year I'm looking at, and 2020 is just part of my 10-year goal. Right now, I got about $100,000 a month in positive cash flow every single month coming in. My next 10 year is to get to a $250,000 cash flow. And I got a bunch of single family property where I want to 1031 exchange them into commercial property.
Rolled into another deal.
Yep. And then some of the single family I'm going to keep, some of them I'm going to get rid of it because they're in the great location where I get the best cash flow, but I got a lot of equity in them, so I'm getting rid of those. And then I'm going to position myself in better property. Once I got those property all positioned in the next year or 2, after that, I'm not going to buy no more. I got plenty of property right now, but then I'm going to spend the next 10 years paying them all off so that the next pandemic that happened in the next 10 years, I don't want to have to deal with any property, any more mortgage. I want to be basically not even think about it. And I just want to just have fun in the next 10 years when I turn 60 and then do what I want to do. But I'm still going to be investing in real estate.
I love it. It's like playing in the sandbox and being a little kid. Guys, when we come back from break, Thach brought up a great point. Economically uncertain times right now. A lot of stuff happening in different markets. A lot of stuff happening in real estate. Maybe some opportunities you could take advantage of. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk about Thach's opinion, what he would advise on opportunities to perhaps take advantage of with everything going on right now, all when we come back from this brief message.